Hello. I am trying this for the 18th time this morning. I tried it on my phone. It at some points wasn't letting me into the studio. I don't even know if this is really working. See, I don't know how long I can do this because an hour ago when I started this, my kids were asleep. So we'll see how long I have. Wanted to talk about the most recent episode of American Horror Stories, not to be confused with American Horror Story. The episode is titled The Milkmaid. So I know a lot of people did not like this episode. I did and did not. The amount of bodily fluids they came out of sores on people's bodies was and the erotica with it. I'll never be the same. There was no warning. I mean, it is American Horror Stories, so you think you know what you're getting into. You don't. But what I liked about the episode was bringing up that conversation of, okay, the first people who figured out to drink what came out of a cow's boobie, the first people who ate mushrooms out of cows' poop area. What else to do with cows? Well, to discover that cowpox helped prevent smallpox. Now, I've done a very little amount of research in regards to how the milkmaid, first of all, I didn't even know there were milkmaids before this. I mean, I guess I knew people milked cows, but I guess I just thought they were all people who were enslaved or servants. I didn't know. Anyway, I can do some research on that too to figure stuff out on my own. And I'm so sorry that all the cicadas here, which I was lied to in childhood and told they were locusts my whole life, and they're not, they're cicadas, but they're extra chirpy this morning. And I hear our cardinal friends, who may or may not be involved in a love triangle, that they're out and about as well. Cardinals have such an annoying chirp. They're beautiful. Their chirp is so annoying. Cicadas are annoying too, but a little less high pitched. Cardinals are like going behind you, like screeching. Just little high pitched screeches. Okay, the milkmaid. Let's see. The origin of the story. I wanted to see if milkmaids really had any part of helping figure out that cowpox and smallpox were related. Hey, good morning, Bill. Thank you for being here again. Yeah, this show is on FX. It's a spin-off series of American Horror Story, whereas American Horror Story is like a whole continuation series. These are standalone episodes with American Horror Stories, mostly. I think in season 1 there was like a couple that were kind of continuation, maybe 3. The first two and the last one, perhaps. But these so far are standalone episodes. And again, this kind of brought up a great discussion of how crazy it is that we land on the discoveries, the belief systems, the non-belief systems, science, health. Like, if you think about it, this is some crazy stuff. It's not so crazy now because we know the science works. We understand, yes, taking the infection from one thing and putting it in our bodies can help prevent a more severe reaction from our body from either, like in this case, it was cowpox to smallpox, or just in general. This is where I believe vaccinations first started. But this is a little too long, but I got a pardon me, I'm off my game. Haven't live streamed in a while. Share Chrome tab. Boop, boop. Yeah. NPR, what's the real story about the Milkmaid and the smallpox vaccine? So, I mean, this is pretty lengthy. Says Edward Jenner, an apprentice to a country surgeon, he would be famous one day for developing the world's first vaccine, which would eventually rid the earth of the scourge of smallpox. And my neighbor's dog is barking. It just seems like it's going to be that kind of a day where live streaming just, and a plane, and anything else. Any second now, my kids are going to come out here. They're still sleeping in, by the way. So, let's just get to the show, because we're not really thinking about, hey, Belinda Paul. Hey, it's so good to see you. I don't know how long this live stream is going to last. I keep saying it. Just spill, but I love that crazy stuff. Poison to kill poison kind of deal. Yeah. So in the show, if you haven't seen it, which do not eat while you're watching. And yes, again, American Horror Stories, I should know better. But like, someone's head getting chopped off doesn't, I mean, it's shocking, right? But I can eat through it as long as it's fictional. But seeing things ooze out of holes in people's bodies, they lick it. There's like erotica with it. I really almost threw up. I really almost threw up. And I had to stop eating, which isn't something that normally happens with gross stuff. But the milkmaid in the situation thinks that she herself is some divine entity that is able to heal people, because any man that's been with her and her sores, which she believes that she has smallpox, she's never died from, and they've gotten better or haven't caught smallpox. Like, why wouldn't she come to this conclusion? Just thinks it's her. she thinks that she's like some descendant of Lazarus. And I mean, I can understand the logical process that got her to that conclusion. Any man that was with her, she has sores. She didn't die from it. She believes she has smallpox. People that were with her, sores and stuff, they were fine after. If they had smallpox, they suffered a less severe case of it. And if they hadn't had it yet, they didn't get it after being with her. We're talking in what, late 1700s, early 1800s? When was smallpox a thing? When was smallpox a thing? I'm literally typing that. I just want a simple answer. I don't want the whole history. Origin is unknown. Egyptian mummies. Okay, great. But like, okay, when was it eradicated? Maybe that'll be better. 1980. Okay. Milkmaid vaccine. No. Yes? 1980? Did we have smallpox until 1980? Now again, this is from nature.com. Let me see if I can share my screen. Yeah, it was awful. It was absolutely awful, Belinda. It was I kept watching it though. Putting smallpox out to pasture. I appreciate the pun in this because cows helped. What is this? Go away. Although smallpox variation, blah, 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 blah. So in 1774 is when this says Benjamin Jesty, English farmer, leveraged this observation and inoculated his wife, which means swoop pus and put that pus on your sores. That's what inoculated is. So he inoculated his wife and 2 sons using pustule material from cowpox-infected cows. Okay, so he took it from cows. But I believe I did read where, not in this show, but in real life, people did that with when they had smallpox. They would take their sores, put it on other people, and if they survived, which I believe I read some statistics where it went from, if you got smallpox, 1 in 5 or 6 would survive, to after inoculating someone with your own juicy juices, it went from 1 in 50 would die. So it did help. So they remained healthy during subsequent smallpox epidemics, but did not publish or further test his approach. Let's see. Other similar inoculations were made, but none appears to have received much attention. It is not clear whether Edward Jenner, an English physician, was aware of these reports prior to his own more famous test. On the 14th of May, 1796, Jenner inoculated 8-year-old James Phillips with cowpox lesion material from milkmaid Sarah Nelms. So Sarah had cowpox juices put it on the boy. So not the smallpox juices, the cowpox juices, put it on him, was immune or had a less severe case of smallpox. So let's continue to read a more intelligent description of this. So again, Jenner inoculated 8-year-old James Phillips with cowpox lesion material from Milkmaid syrup Nelms. Phipps fell mildly ill but recovered, and in July of that same year, Jenner formally tested the hypothesis that prior cowpox infection could prevent smallpox by variolating Phipps with smallpox lesion material. So then he tested the smallpox juices on him, I believe. Jenner's approach was eventually described as a vaccination, a nod to its bovine heritage. Bovine, does that mean pig or cow? Can't remember. Vacca is the Latin word for cow. But yes, isn't bovine pig though? Or is it cow? After his initial report of these findings were rejected by the Royal Society, Jenner self-published Do Ya Damn Self, a longer monograph in 1798, documenting Phipps and an additional 22 cases that prove that cowpox, either through vaccination or natural infection, could protect against disease following smallpox. This is where, okay, let's find the 1980. I don't think they really, I thought I read somewhere where it said they didn't really I want to say verify. Okay, what does this say? Which was not in the article that I clicked. But less than 2 centuries after his first vaccination, Jenner was proved right, and smallpox was declared eradicated by the World Health, in 1980. So it was completely gone by 1980. So they say, which I'm sure all government world organizations are absolutely correct in everything they do. I believe it. So I keep saying so. Hey, good morning, PJ. I'm talking about incredibly disgusting stuff. Hi, Nikki. It does mean cow. Bovine means cow. What is the term for pig? I can't remember. Long time ago, I used to be a medical transcriptionist, and I learned all Latin crap. And it did really well. Is it just swine? Bovine and swine? Is it that simple? That's disappointing for me, that I'm not that intelligent. By the way, random thoughts. Has anyone here heard of Smearcat? I clicked on a link for this person because someone on the Twitters was sharing links, something quoting someone, and I clicked on it and watched most of the video because I thought it was funny. It was just taking little excerpts of different creators and their kind of points where they say ridiculous stuff. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, holy crap, that's my face. What? What? And no, not hog. We don't say the H word around here. You're pretty sure, but you don't know about swine. I've missed you guys. I've missed chatting with you guys. Thank you. Thank you for being here and listening to all my random thoughts. Yeah. And I don't think Smearcat was doing anything rude or mean, but they just had, I mean, other people might think it's rude or mean, but I was just saying dumb stuff that I already would make fun of myself for saying. And those are like clips in there. And I even commented like, oh my God, I feel honored. I'm so narcissistic. But seriously, are they good people or not? So back to pus. again, am I still sharing my screen? Because I'm about to go on Reddit. Okay, guys. Is it porcine? Who's knocking? I think that's my next door neighbor. Is that how you pronounce that word? I know words. Just think of that. How crazy, and that's kind of what this episode brings up. How insane at that point in time did your neighbor seem for taking their pus and putting it on the sores of other people? Probably a lot of witchcraft, burning at the stake, what are you doing, blasphemous, yada yada. And again, it seems a lot of people didn't like this episode because they're like, things are so far-fetched. For one, it's a fictional show, so sure, yep, it is. But of course, as always, I think that a lot of the things in American Horror Story or stories are done for shock value to make you think, have a deeper discussion, and I mean, just think thought-provoking. Like, again, someone walked up to a cow, squeezed their boob, drank their boob sauce, and was like, hey man, try this. We do that every day now. But at some point, that was some crazy shit. Today is breakfast. So then it has, again, this whole town, people dying of smallpox, going to whatever link they feel. They're kind of piecing things together. Okay, these people didn't get as sick. What was all in common that they were doing? They were, won't spoil everything for you. Believe me, that's not all. That was all the crazy things in there. But yeah, that chick thinking that she was the only one, like every person that has been with me has not died, either been infected and not had a severe case and not passed, or not gotten smallpox at all. People were doing religious things, and you're in a town where the church is in charge of everything. The pastor is like God, or preacher, priest, whatever it was. And your family members are dying around you, and you're taking desperate measures to do whatever you can to survive and have your family survive. Think of us with, what happened in the last 2 years with the pandy. Again, creator on TikTok, Isaac, awesomely Isaac or something. He has autism. He refers to the pandemic as the Great Dilemma. So that's what I refer to it as. And what are the things we all did? We didn't know. Brand new illness. Our loved ones are dropping like flies. We're all afraid. We bought a lot of toilet paper. But beyond that, there are things people took, horse tranquilizers, zinc, I don't necessarily blame people for trying things for themselves during a scary time like that. And hey, some of it worked, some of it didn't, But that's what this whole episode brings up, other than really disgusting visuals. is, wow, what was it like to live during that time? And be like, nah, dude, if you stick your finger in this cow's pus hole, wipe it on yourself, you're good to go. Someone had to try that on them, try that on their own. They're probably by themselves, like, oh man, I don't want anybody to watch me do this, but I think I'm onto something, like, you know. And then they had to convince their friend to be like, hey, you got a little something there. Maybe they like fake them out. Maybe they just kind of like, hey, you know, and oh, it was just a boogie. Maybe that's how they got rid of it, or were able to do it at first. I don't know. But let me see here. Oh, I don't remember my password or anything. I'm trying to read my Reddit. I have to bring it up on my phone. But there was some interesting discussions from the Reddit on this episode. Again, people absolutely hated this episode. They gave it a 0 out of 10. And yes, some of it was just crazy. But we watch it to be entertained. Yeah, one person said, of any episode of American Horror Story, American Horror Stories, any Ryan Murphy production, including the entirety of Glee, any episode of American television, any episode of horror television, and every single way, from the acting to the editing to the camera work to the music, not one moment was redeemable. I wish not only that it had been even further delayed, but that Hulu had never dropped it. And I think maybe he means never picked it up. 0 out of 10, he or she. Poking. Do you want me to poke you? Oh, someone says they also missed the blue screen several times in the church scene. Like, there were several church scenes, so what one? Like, come on, guys, at least care. Someone says in the funeral scene, you can repeatedly see the blue screen from the door leading out of the church where they did not add the background scenery during production. I have to go back in and look at that. I noticed this and was trying to work out how they could have such a clear blue sky just outside the door. Like, I thought the church might be at the top of a hill. Okay. Flag. And Lucy. So much noise. This is kind of sad to see, though, when I'm reading. And granted, I was ignorant. I didn't even know milkmaids existed. I thought they were just servants or enslaved people. So yes, I don't know all things. I don't know all history. But this episode piqued my curiosity, and Google's a thing, so I researched whether or not milkmaids had any, I cannot think of the word, influence. Why? Why are airplanes? I feel the same way. It's so rude. I'm trying to live stream. But Google search and you learn the history. People are so confused, thinking this is, yes, there's a lot of there's a lot of supernatural stuff that was happening. Not supernatural. There's some cannibalism. There's some like really extreme things, right? But again, I think it's trying to touch on where anyone's head would be during that time. There's no internet, no communication with other people. Science isn't really a thing. It's just burn people at the stake or believe in God and he'll heal you, which I understand there's still some of that today. Not so much burning at the stake, but I don't know. But so it's provoking that kind of thought and discussion. But also, there are people saying, this is crazy. Cow milk, healing people, cows healing people. Yeah. Google. Yes. Cowpox and inoculating people with it helped create the vaccine for smallpox. And a milkmaid was involved in that they took the cowpox off of her because she got it from the cows she was milking. Took her little pus from cowpox, put on somebody with smallpox. Yes, that actually happened. Didn't help. So anyhow, the moral of the story is do not watch this episode while eating SpaghettiOs. It is absolutely disgusting. Yeah, someone asked, does the milk make people mortal? Someone else says, well, no, from my understanding, it's not a supernatural episode whatsoever. The milk contained a milk-borne disease from the cow, which in turn made those who drank it immune to smallpox. Yeah. The ending was that they never got the real cure to smallpox because the only ones that knew about it were killed, which was destined from the beginning since milkmaids themselves weren't the ones who discovered the immunity. It was a guy named Edward Jennings. True. But I don't know. If you watch it, what do you think? If you don't watch it, just don't eat. And that's it. I am looking forward to the next one. It's been hit or miss. I'm going to strangle a dog. Not really. I would never. This morning has just been full of live stream obstacles. I believe that dog is barking every time I talk. Okay, guys, I won't torture you anymore. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we can have a discussion about this sometime. If not, drink cow milk. It's good for you.